Triangle. If there are no monsters beneath the waves, then maybe it's the sea itself that kills. For decades, legends painted the Bermuda Triangle as a mouth that devours the living. But behind every myth, there is data, tides, pressure, magnetism, storms. And if we dive deep enough, perhaps the monsters we find will wear the face of science, the wrath of weather. The Atlantic is a restless beast. Within the triangle, warm currents from the Gulf Stream collide with cold fronts from the north. The result is chaos. Storms that form without warning, winds that rise from nothing, waves that tower like buildings before collapsing into silence. To a pilot, these storms appear from clear skies. To a ship's captain, they arrive faster than the eye can measure. A sudden downdraft can pull an aircraft from the sky in seconds. A rogue wave, 20 meters high, can strike from nowhere and vanish just as quickly, leaving no trace, no debris, only questions. Scientists call it micro-weather. Sailors call it the hand of the sea, the breath of the earth, methane. Then there is what lies beneath, the seabed itself. Hidden under the floor of the Atlantic are vast deposits of methane hydrate, a frozen gas locked inside crystals of ice. When pressure shifts or temperatures rise, those crystals burst, releasing violent plumes of gas that race upward through the water. When that happens, the ocean literally changes density. The water becomes lighter, foaming, bubbling, unable to hold weight. A ship caught above such an eruption wouldn't sink. It would fall, instantly, straight down. The crew would have seconds to realize the impossible, that the sea had turned to air. And when the bubbles stop, the water closes again, perfectly smooth, erasing every sign that anything ever existed there. To scientists, this phenomenon is measurable. To storytellers, it is indistinguishable from magic, the magnetic heart. For centuries, navigators noticed something else. Their compasses misbehaved. Needles spun wildly or pointed not toward true north, but to something else, something under the sea. Geophysicists explain this as magnetic variation, the Earth's magnetic field bending across the Atlantic. The triangle happens to straddle one of the planet's few places where true north and magnetic north briefly align, causing instruments to swing unpredictably. To a modern GPS, that's trivial. But in the 1940s, when compasses ruled the sky, such shifts could send an aircraft hundreds of miles off course, directly into nowhere. Still, even the scientists admit, the readings near Bermuda are unusually erratic. The magnetism there hums louder, wilder, as if the planet itself forgets its direction. Human hands and failing machines. No sea swallows more ships than the Atlantic, and most vanish for a simple reason. Human error. The Bermuda Triangle sits at one of the busiest maritime corridors on Earth. Thousands of flights, ferries, and freighters crossing every week. In that chaos, a misread instrument, a missed storm alert, or a fuel miscalculation can turn routine into disaster. Many of the Triangle's victims sailed with outdated equipment, no radio contact, and crews exhausted from war or long voyages. The human mind, under stress, creates its own ghosts. Panic turns seconds into eternities, and by the time calm returns, it's already too late. The voice of science. NOAA speaks eventually. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the NOAA, addressed the myth directly. Their report was clinical, dry, almost disappointing. The majority of disappearances in the Bermuda region can be attributed to environmental factors and human mistake. There is no evidence of supernatural activity, magnetic anomalies beyond normal variance, or extraterrestrial influence. In other words, storms, gas, magnetism, and misjudgment. Nothing more. No monsters, no portals, just physics, probability, and the cold indifference of nature. Yet even Noah admitted one unsettling truth, that the ocean still holds wrecks we cannot find, still erases data faster than we can collect it, and every explanation, however sound, ends with the same uneasy phrase, unknown causes. The uncomfortable truth. Science answers questions, but it does not always quiet fear. Because understanding how a ship sinks does not make the silence afterward any less terrifying. Knowing that gas bubbles can drown steel doesn't explain why the radio dies at the same moment, or why the water sometimes glows as if alive. Perhaps the Bermuda Triangle doesn't need monsters or aliens. Perhaps it is enough that the sea itself behaves like a living thing, unpredictable, untamed, and aware. When the sky darkens without warning, when the compass begins to spin, when the waves rise from a mirror-flat sea, logic fades, instinct takes over, and reason, like so many vessels before it, sinks. Maybe the Triangle was never cursed. Maybe it's simply the most unforgiving classroom nature ever built, teaching humility to those who forget how small we are. Storms, methane, magnetism, mistakes, the ingredients of every tragedy ever born at sea. And yet, when another plane vanishes, we still whisper the same name, as if afraid the ocean might hear us. Because explanations satisfy the mind, but myths feed the soul. In the Bermuda Triangle, both are true. It is where science ends and wonder begins.